Some motherfuckers, what's going on? Yeah, so first things first, last time we were just like, you know, just doing some basic stuff, like where I'm able to zoom in, rotate the camera with the mouse and stuff, and then like do all like some basic controls. Right now, there's some problems. For one, when we go behind an object, we can't see our character. And two, we want to import. We don't want to have to use Blender for map editing. So I've done some research on some map editors, and I think I found one that is very nice for Godot 4, at least at the moment. Probably in the future, I'm going to use Godot, but for now, for Godot, you need the .NET installed. So, and it is in beta, so there will probably be some glitches, but other than that, it should probably work. So if you want to use the .NET thing, then maybe I'll have like a part in the video where you can just skip to, and yeah, I'll just like list it. So skip to 11 minutes and 44 seconds in the video, and I'll put the time right here on the screen. Okay. So what I'm gonna do though is I'm going to actually not go to project settings. What the? Okay. So it just like opened up something in my other screen. Okay. So what you want to look up is this thing called a trench broom loader, and this is like this just like loads trench broom maps, and it does it a lot like Godot actually. A lot of the setup is very similar to Godot if you've ever done that. And I'm just gonna install everything, boom, and then you save and restart. Let Godot do its thing to install the plugin, and yeah. And when you go into the project settings, damn, okay. It kept opening my other screen, and that was getting annoying. Hopefully it opens in this one. Let me see, when I close this, let's see if it opens again. Yeah, okay. So that way I don't have to keep doing all that. Okay, let's go to plugins. It's not enabled, so make sure you enable that. So now it is. And now if everything worked, then you should be able to make a new scene. Go to create node, and let's go to TV loader, and boom. So if you look up online, you're not going to look up the trench broom loader. What you're going to look up is TB loader, and that's what it's called on GitHub at least. And it'll just be called like trench broom loader, but it is like labeled as TB loader in here. So that's the GitHub for it. Hasn't been updated in a bit. That's not a great sign. So maybe in like future versions this won't be as applicable. But for now, I'm just gonna use TV loader just because of like just for this for now. And also this is gonna be my game too. So yeah. So it might be a better idea if you don't use TV loader maybe once Godot is available on more stuff besides just the .NET version. Because I think Godot is being updated pretty often. Let me see. I'll double check myself on that. Godot GitHub. And right here, .map support for this one has been updated in a while either. Well, 18 hours actually. This has been updated. So yeah, document a bunch of classes. So that's some documentation I think. I don't know. But for now, I'm going to use TV loader. Okay, so let's go. Let's get out of that. Okay, so now I got TV loader. I know I have it, the plugin all working, but I need to still do some extra stuff. So let's set up a trench broom. And what this has, you could actually just open this in the file manager. The files we want to get is a .cfg, .fgd, and the .png files, and copy them to folder in games of trench broom folder. So I'm just gonna copy that right now, and let's go to trench broom. Use my trench broom directory, and you go to games. And I'm just gonna make one called Godot. Godot 4, and just copy these right there. So it'll have this PNG right here. That's just a Godot icon, and it will have the .fgd and CFG files. Okay, so that's what we want. We want that right there. And when you open Trench Broom, you should be able to see it already. Just call Godot 4, I think. It's called Godot in here, but it doesn't really matter. We call the folder Godot 4, which is fine. And for new installs, you probably will not have this path, so I'll show how to set it. So you go to your project, wherever your project directory is for Godot, And then you go your add-ons folder in TB loader, and you want to select this entire folder. So just make sure you select this entire folder. So like maybe if you're on Mac, you might have to like click this, then say select folder. It also works for Windows too, but you could also just, in Windows, you could just go into this, just say select folder, and bam, you got this already. So now I hit apply, it has it right there. So now we just create a new map, and boom. Now we should be able to see textures if we have them, but we don't have a textures folder yet. Instead, we just have textures, and it'll just be empty because we don't have anything. So what we want to do is go back. We don't need to mess with the trench broom folder anymore. Go to game dev, Godot, dungeon crawler, then go to your add-ons. Well, actually your assets. And I have I could get some textures from Kenny, and I think I already, let me see. I'll get some textures from Kenny, and say Kenny textures, and go to, yeah, prototype textures. I'll just do that, and I'll just download this. And I'll say continue without download for now, and what I have is now this, and let's go over here, and I'll just put the .zip file in the game dev folder, and let's say extract all, and let's go to our game dev thing, go to dungeon crawler, and then go to add-ons, and I'll make a new folder called maybe it'll be better to put in the assets first and just copy over all the stuff we want. So let's just say, oh yeah, this is keeping the not mine. And let's go to textures and just paste it in here, extract. Okay, so it should have PNG in there. And we can actually copy all of these and just go over to our add-ons thing. And in TB loader, let's make a thing called textures. And let's put all that motherfucking shit in here, copy it over. And in Trench Broom, we should be able to just press F5, and then now we should have all the textures right here. And that's how you know if your directory is correct too. So your directory setup should be correct as if it goes in there. So right here, what I'm going for is just making like a little BS map that I'm just gonna like make a tower in the middle, then have some type of incline that goes down. And just so that way the player can move around and also test around, like just how the movement feels on the map, how tall we should make stuff, and probably like right here is probably the tallest I'm gonna make it for this game, just because it's an isometric game, and yeah, you don't need to make things too tall. Making things tall is probably not the best idea because then your camera might clip through, but yeah, yeah, this is just how I'm gonna just design maps just for this game. And in Trench Broom was cool is you could actually do a vector edit, and it's very nice. And like see, like right here, I'm just making a quick incline, and then I just change the color on these faces, move them down a bit because I want to have like a little bit of an indent, and then I change the textures on the sides just to make a bit more color variety, so that way it doesn't look too purple or something. Because textures do matter. It's nice to have like a lot of them when you're having like an isometric game like this. It makes it look a lot nicer. And right here, I'm just making like a little gray floor on the outside just to have a bit more variety. And boom, there we are. I'm saving it right now to the add-ons. Actually, no, I'm saving it to the level folder. And right here. Import. I'll just name it test map. Boom. Now we have that saved. Let's go to Godot. Now I just got all that because we did all the textures too. So now let's load all that. And everything will be now in here, test map import. And what we want to do, let's make a new scene. I'll make a 3D scene, and let's name it test map, and add a TB loader thing node, and we'll add the map right here. So let's go to scenes, maps, test map import, load the map file through here, and go to textures, make sure we have our TV lower textures as a right here, and then say build meshes, and everything should be in there. Now we have everything. It's a big old, just a kind of empty-ish map with a little tower in the middle, so that way we could test if we're able to see the player behind some stuff. Okay, but that covers that, and already has all the collision shapes enabled. So I'm going to save that. Go to scenes, maps, and test map import. Save that, and let's make a new scene called test map import. I like to separate the geometry from the actual level, so that way I could just do this and say test map. And the reason I'm doing this too is because we could have a complete level section when we start maybe linking levels together, so that way we can make sure that all of them line up properly. So that way it's not like you're going through like it's magic or something. But yeah, okay, so let's go and do this. So yeah, and let's add our player in. Now we have our player, and let's maybe make our player go down here. Boom, 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 boom. Maybe right here or something. Or maybe they could start in the center, actually. That's not a bad idea either. And let's name this test map. Keep a camel case for this one. And see if it's playable. There's no lighting right now. But right now, you're able to see everything. And boom, now we have that. We know we could play through that. I might make a directional light. Directional light 3D, that is, I guess. And let's make it the light right here. Let's rotate it. And maybe a little bit that way. And let's add some shadows. And let's change the light color. Let's make it more like an evening color almost. Okay. Let's test it out. Now we could actually see some lighting. And boom. Now we got all that set up. Okay, next thing we need to do is probably also go into our player scene. Make sure that it's that this is, let me see, where is it? Oh yeah, I'm going to sprite. And let's go flags. Let's make this shaded. See how it looks when it's shaded. So I'm going to go into our project, general, run, and change the main scene. Let's go up one, test map import. Let's go to test map and make that our main scene. So when I press play, we'll actually run this one. Okay, now it's actually affected by the lighting. What we could also do, maybe, is maybe make it shadowed too. That might look pretty cool. And so right here I was failing to find out how to make a shadow for the sprite in this video, but I think it just has to do with how you set the alpha settings on it. For now, I just wanted to wait until I kind of get my character more set up. I was just kind of going off track a little here, so that's why I'm fast forwarding. But yeah, going. Okay, maybe we should make the scene a little brighter. It looks a little dark still, so let's put up that energy by a good bit. Yeah, let's do that. That's pretty damn bright now. That looks pretty cool. Look at that. You see how it's all how the shadows are done too. Okay. Okay, so there's two problems actually. One, once we go down here, the camera kind of clips through these objects, and that's not really what we want. So what I might do, I'm gonna times this by 1.5, I think, for now. And this is what you could do actually when you're setting settings. You just say times 1.5, and then it actually multiplies that by that, which is very nice. So we could do some quick vector math. I just wanted to do that. Okay. So now, even though it's like further away, it should stop the clipping. So now Okay, so that's probably the tallest we should make our objects actually, is like this. So that way we don't actually see through it and stuff. So just remember that. You don't want to make things too tall if you're making this type of game, I don't think. I don't know. I don't know if there's any set rules on that, but that's how I'm thinking of it. And yeah, there we are. We have that going. Okay, so another thing we want to do is to make sure that we can see the player through that when we go behind it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a node 3D. Put it up here. Put the node 3D under there. Name this player sprite. And just duplicate it. And I'll name this player sprite blocked. And the reason I'm doing this is because this is what we'll see when we're behind an object. And this is what we'll see just normally. So, of course, this one should have a higher render priority. That's how it's going to work. And the player sprite blocked, we're going to make this a lower. Well, we'll keep it the same render priority. But what we are going to do is we're going to make it unshaded and no depth test. And also change this to a lower alpha. Maybe about right here or something. And then maybe make it a bit blue. And then now we'll be able to check if we're able to only see that. And boom, now we can actually see ourselves through the object. So that way we at least know where we are. So we might do for anything that's a sprite, we'll just do the same thing where we have them behind stuff. And you can see even like if half the player is obstructed, you can still see them. And yeah, so that makes sure we could always see our player no matter what, even if we're behind an object or something. And we can also do this for other objects as well, of course. Maybe every object just have like that type of thing. But maybe not for anything in the map though, just to keep things a bit more optimized. But if there's like something like a barrel or something, or maybe another NPC, you should be able to see them through here. And yeah, that's very important. Okay, so now you can see the player through stuff. And yeah, so now we got that. And what I might do now is make a quick animation for the player, because we're gonna want to animate both of these. We want to make sure that that we're animating both of them at the same time, because we're gonna want to animate both of them at the same time, because we want to keep them in sync with each other. So let's say player sprite container. And that'll be that. Player sprite container contains a player sprite and a player sprite blocked. And yeah, that's what we got going on right now. And that should be good for now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Blender and make a quick scene with some stuff going on. Let me see, general. Okay. So right here what I do is I start off with a basic cube, and what I end up doing is that I just make sure that the X rotation is like perpendicular or parallel with the plane that we're on. I think that's the word for it. But yeah, I just make sure it's just around the cube, and I just give it like a length of like 10 first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 8 cameras around this. I just like duplicate all of them. And I'm just making sure that the rotation's right. So what I end up doing is I just edit the model a little bit and make like a little direction. So that way I could tell which way it's like pointed, which way I want to be like the forward face. And yeah, and I want the 0 frame, basically the there's gonna be 8 different like frames or 8 different angles that we're gonna do, and the 0 angle is gonna be east, just like it is in math. So that's what I do. And so the second one will be like northeast, and that goes north. So that way, that's which forward face they are. So like if they're facing forward, then yeah, see, like you can see right here, I set the camera behind it, so that way we see the behind when we're when it's facing north, and that's why I call it anyway. It's not really north, but it's just But yeah, so like and what I ended up actually doing is I times 10 by a cosine of 45, and then I got 7.07 and a bunch of extra like digits after that. And right here I've already set up the 8 cameras, and yeah, and I make like a certain collection for them just to contain all the cameras. And I was having weird problems with like I just got a new monitor and it has 144 hertz, so I think I was having problems like dragging these nodes around in Blender. So I don't know what's up with that. I don't know if it's a Blender issue or a monitor issue. And right here I'm saving like a base scene, and this is gonna be like the basis for like all the like enemies I'm gonna use. all the characters. So it's nice to have a Blender file that just has all of that, and then it just has all the cameras all set up, and this little node that's a forward-facing thing, and it just kind of tells you how they are. And that way I don't have to set it up this way every single time. And I can also like scale them back and forth just like I did there. I was just trying to show the video. But I'm going to keep them around like 10 or so. And yeah. And yeah, during the animation, what we're going to do is we're going to set like keyframes for each of the cameras at 8 different points. And that's going to be like, we're just going to repeat the same animation for all of them. And it's a bit of copy and paste, yeah, for all the frames. And it might be error prone, but this is my method of doing things. There's probably better ones out there. If you ever think of any, just comment it in the below. But this is how I do it. And just remember, the way I'm doing things isn't always the best. It probably should be since I'm making a video on this, but it's just not always going to be the best. There's probably better methods out there for pretty much any video you see. And right here, I almost forgot to make it a mirror modifier, and I started like doing the legs. I'm like, oh wait, I should probably make a mirror modifier. So what I end up doing is I cut the thing in half, and I end up removing half the faces on one side, and I apply the mirror modifier, and I put on the y-axis, and I do the bisect y-axis, and I enable clipping. But before I enable clipping completely, I move the legs apart so that way it drags that like face around, and then I connect the 4 vertices on one side, and I just like press F to like bring them all together, so that way I make a face on that, and then re-enable clipping afterwards. And yeah, and this video is going a little bit faster than I'm talking, but this part doesn't really matter. This is kind of like I'm just doing the arms real quick. This character's not that serious. I'm just mainly using it for testing, just to show off some stuff. And yeah, and right here I'm just making a booty and making the legs. I want the booty to stick out, so I'm making the legs a bit skinnier. And I'm just like quickly like putting stuff together, just throwing a model together basically. This isn't like amazing modeling or anything. This is just like some practice. I just kind of end up making a character with a hoodie real quick. That's kind of what I do. And I'm just like kind of cutting some faces in there. I realize that some of the ways it's like doing edge loops, I think it got all messed up, but I'm just rolling with it because I don't really care too much. And yeah, there's a character's face and everything. It's just going to be a little square face right there. And I'm just going to probably add like a little bit of like skin or darkness. I forgot what I ended up going with, just to simulate like the shadow of the hood. And but I think I end up going with like skin. And right here, I think I was making the feet. I think I'm just showing the lighting. And yeah, I'm just making sure there's like 6 lights around it on all sides, so that way it's evenly lit. I think I already did that before I started making the modeling. And I was thinking about doing like a texture paint, but I end up that takes a little bit longer once you end up having a bunch of faces. So I end up saying, no, I don't want to do texture painting. And so I end up going the shading route instead. And when you do texture painting, it makes a shading thing like this. So if you actually want to make a new texture on different parts of the faces, you could actually just like do that while I was like showing there. And I think you could, I don't know, you could probably do some Blender magic and end up like painting on different per different parts of the body. And yeah, so I'm just making some eyes right here. I'm just making them green to like contrast with the red, because like green is a complementary color. And right here I'm just making some I forgot, irises, corneas, I forgot what you call those. But yeah, and then I'm just making a quick mouth, and boom, like putting that right there. I think since I ended up changing it to like skin, then like right here it's starting to look like a Dragon Ball Z character. Forgot which one. Popo, I think. Starting to look like Popo right there. So I ended up changing that to like that mouth, so that way it simulates the inside of a mouth better. And yeah, and I give it a little bit of lips on top and bottom and the sides. And then like I ended up like bringing in the like middle part, because I used I kind of fucked up on the mouth a little bit, honestly. I was like, oh crap, I didn't mean to do that. But I just ended up rolling with it, and I just give it a little bit more detail with that. And I think that's about it for the shading. I just like give it a subdivision just to make it look a little more smooth. I make it look really smooth, and then I bring it back to 1 just for now, just in case I actually hit apply somewhere and I forget. I want it to at least be a little bit easy to edit if I ever want to edit this actually and go further with it. But yeah. And what I end up doing right here is I'm making sure that it's lined up in the middle with all the cameras. All the cameras are at the same height. So if I line it up with one, I line it up with all of them pretty much. And that way, they're all around. And you can see like I'm kind of like cycling through the cameras and looking at different angles and different lighting. And I'm noticing it's a little too shiny right now, so I go into shading real quick. And then I end up bringing up the metallic and bringing up the roughness. And that way it looks a little bit less like shiny. And that's the same lighting right there, actually. It just like I just changed how the character is lit in that lighting. And yeah. And I think right here is where I start. Do I start making an armature right here? I think I do, yeah. I'm starting to make an armature right here. I make sure that it's displayed in front like that. And yeah, and I'm just like going through making it. And I honestly, for some reason, I wasn't able to like mirror the thing. But I've done it before, I think, where I've actually mirrored the bones. But for some reason, I wasn't able to right here. And I think I was just being dumb. Honestly, I was being dumb through a lot of this whole process. I'm just I think I was trying to do it too quickly. And like honestly, I'm not the most comfortable with Blender yet. Like I'm good at like some things. I feel like I'm pretty good at like doing like, you know, like sculpting and also what's it called, and I feel like I'm actually pretty good at animating, but I'm not the best at modeling or rigging yet. And yeah, and then I'm just like curving it with like kind of like the model a little bit, just going a little bit with the model, and then just bringing everything right there. So I did half of it. I was thinking, okay, maybe do I have to mirror it right here? I forgot which order I have to mirror it in. It's been a while since I've rigged, honestly. And yeah, and so I ended up just selecting all of it, trying to mirror it, but it just doesn't end up working. And I was getting a little annoyed. But I think I even watched a video on the side. I don't know if you can see it in here because I didn't want to get copyright, just in case I include it in the video. But yeah, I ended up like not figuring it out, so I ended up trying to like rotate it. It doesn't work out. So what I ended up doing is I just say, fuck it, you know, I'm just gonna model on the other side. And just like, because this is like just during a video, you have to remember, like, sometimes I'm not perfect. I'm doing this in kind of like the heat of the moment, and I kind of fuck up a little bit, honestly. But yeah, here's the armature. I'm just like doing it on that side. I think this is where I actually start extruding, and I start boom, 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 just putting it around like the same thing. This might be worse if I had more like stuff to like rig, but honestly, rigging is kind of a fun process for me, so I don't mind doing it again. I just make sure it's just lined up on both sides, and then just like I just go to the top view again, make sure it's lined up with the hands. And I just want to make sure that like it's inside all parts of the model, that way it's not outside any parts. That's the main thing I'm going for. And right here, I could not get the damn thing to go with the rig, and I forgot what I was doing. Why this wasn't working. I think there's a good reason, actually. I can't think of the reason why it wasn't working, but I think it was something that I was doing that I was really dumb. Oh, it's because of a mirror modifier. I'm testing the part that's mirrored on the model, and I fucked up. Yeah, so I was moving the armature on the part that was modeled right there. That was just like on the mirror modifier side. So moving the armature didn't do anything to it. So I needed to apply the mirror modifier before I started rigging, I think. And I just fucked up right here, honestly. It's just, I was being dumb, and I was blaming Blender. I think I even yelled at one point. I was like, oh, motherfucker. That's why I cut it out. I'm glad I'm just fast forwarding over, and then, yeah. So, I think what I ended up doing is I do figure it out after a bit. So I see right here is I'm like, oh, shit. I was, like, testing if I exited out of Blender, then came back in, that might work, but, nah, I didn't. But, yeah, so, I end up figuring out the mirror modifier is messing it up, and then I go through, I apply the mirror modifier, and then the rig actually works with the model. But yeah, just make sure that like you end up applying mirror modifiers after you're done, so that way it messes. I think you could actually just mess with the right part, but if you do want to keep the mirror modifier, but I think since I don't have a symmetrical bone structure, that might fuck things up. So yeah, I think what I end up doing is I just make kind of like a backup copy of the model real quick. So that way it's just saved on the side somewhere. And then with a non-backup copy, I just end up applying the rig to that. And I think I'm actually able to move it right here. Let me see. It's moving. Yeah, I'm able to move it. He's able to look around. So that's where the rig is actually messing with the model. So that way I'm actually able to animate. So in the next video, actually, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to, like, first part is probably I'm just going to animate this character and just, like, speed it up just like this. And then I'll get into actually, like animating the 8 angles and stuff. And I'll go over an animation class in Godot. So I hope this helped. Have a good motherfucking day. Yeah.